upon a time there was truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice, and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Live from New York City. This is Jordan Sheridan with Status Coup. It is, what are we on? Whoa, what is this? Tuesday or Wednesday? Can't remember my days. I'm getting so old. It is Tuesday, September 24th, 2019. I usually don't go live in the morning. Not a great morning person, but I don't think I have a choice. I think we have a significant story here, and I don't think it's going to be covered in many other places. So I think it's important that Status Coup gets on it. Last night, myself, Jen, the co-founder of Status Coup, who's in the super chat right now, we're digging and came up with all sorts of goodies that I would say might shed some light on the Working Families Party endorsement of Senator Elizabeth Warren. But before I get to any of that, people don't typically know that or look for Status Coup to be live in the morning, so we need your help to get this to more people. Remember, you got a checklist. I need every one of you watching right now. I need you to smash the like button. Go get your coffee, go get your espresso. I need every single one of you. Press the like button. It's the thumbs up button right under the video. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see the like button. Okay? So smash it into smithereens. We already got 160 watching. 102 of you have pressed that like button. I'll keep reminding you throughout the live stream. Also, become a Status Coup member. We are currently sitting at 700. Actually, we're at 720. That's wrong. 720 Status Coup members. Our goal for the end of the year is 1,000 members. Keep it coming if you can. statuscoup.com/join. And if you're not a member, if you are a member, you'll get the link. We're having our monthly call with our members, our video call, coming up on Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern. If you're a member or a patron, you'll get the link to join our call. It's a lot of fun. I'll remind you about that a little bit later. Also, make sure you go and follow us at Status Coup on the Twitter. We're almost at 10,000 there. That's another great way to reach a new audience. Subscribe to our podcast and join our email list by going to statuscoup.com and enter your email there. And one other reminder, and this is exciting, I shall say, we are currently just $410 away from reaching $75,000 in our GoFundMe. Boy, would it be amazing to reach $75,000 while we're live before I've had my coffee today. I have not had my large iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts yet, and I hope no health nuts are watching to reprimand me for that. So, would love to reach that $410 while we're live. Pitch in any amount, $5, $10, $20, $500, whatever you want. This is all for in the field reporting. We do have, I have hired a new camera person, so we'll have that announcement later this week on who it is. And once we get this person on board and everything's set, we'll be back in the field, hopefully as soon as next week. But we need more funds to do it. So let me first give credit where credit is due. last night I'm just hopping along, and I see somebody sent me a tweet from. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know really who this person is, but hold on, let me find it. Somebody sent me a tweet that originated from Samuel Douglas. Samuel Douglas. Here we go. Who I don't, let me see who he is to give him the proper credit. He's a JD candidate at Seton Hall Law. Well, maybe you should be switched from being a lawyer to a journalist because you found the goods here, Sam. So Sam pointed out that Elizabeth Warren's daughter, Amelia, is chairwoman of Demos, a liberal think tank. And according to Demos's 2018 tax filing, they gave $45,000 to the Working Families Party. This was the first year Demos gave anything to the Working Families Party. So very good. Sam spotted it first. So before I even get into this, a few things as a disclaimer. Number one, I don't have anything against Demos. What I know of Demos is it's an actual progressive think tank, and they've been pushing great issues like lowering student debt, Medicare for all, and a lot of like capital P progressive issues for years. So this has what we're about to talk about and frankly expose really isn't about Demos to me. So for those naysayers are like, oh, you Bernie bros are attacking, a progressive think tank. Nothing to do with Demos. All the love in the world for you, Demos. And frankly, beyond that, I don't really care who the Working Families Party endorsed. The Working Families Party is not exactly like a force in American politics. No disrespect to the Working Families Party. It is relatively significant in the progressive sphere, but the Working Families Party is not going to dictate who they endorse. It's not going to affect whether Bernie Sanders becomes a nominee or Elizabeth Warren becomes a nominee. It's just not. So it really, to me, what we're about to talk about, if the Working Families Party legitimately, keyword legitimately, endorsed Elizabeth Warren, I would agree to disagree and move on. And I think most people would view it that way. It's kind of a head scratcher if you endorsed Bernie Sanders by 87% of your membership in 2016, why you would switch to Elizabeth Warren. So that's really why I think Bernie Sanders supporters were kind of like, this doesn't make sense, particularly the fact that in 2016, when Working Families Party endorsed Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton by, an insane margin, 87% of their members, they released the actual vote counts of their members because their board makes up 50% of the vote, and then the other 50% is their actual members. And this goes with pretty much unions. A union could endorse a candidate, but it's really the union leadership that is endorsing that candidate, but the membership vote doesn't match. Like the rank and file membership doesn't match the leadership. So that's why I think Bernie Sanders supporters were scratching their head. Something doesn't smell right here. They won't release the membership total when they did release the membership total in 2016. The reasons they say they're endorsing Elizabeth Warren, it's almost like everything they're saying matches closer with Bernie Sanders. So that's why I was wondering, and a lot of people were wondering, what's up with this endorsement? Not because like, oh my God, we're sore losers, and like the Working Families Party, who becomes the nominee hangs in the balance. It's the Working Families Party who matters here. So it really didn't make sense. And now I think this new information would indicate this is just common sense. There's a financial connection between Elizabeth Warren and the Working Families Party. Now, I personally tend not to focus on children of candidates, especially young children, but Elizabeth Warren's daughter is a grown adult. She has some high-profile positions, and if her positions are connected to her mother, I think it's fair game. So let's start with the fact that in 2017 to 2018, here we go. This is the IRS 990 form for Demos, the organization, the think tank. July 1st to June 30th, 2018. So that's basically their fiscal year, and just say 2017 to 2018 tax filings. This is for Demos, okay? So when you go to grants that they issued, Working Families Party. Okay, here we go. They gave $15,000. This is Demos. They gave $15,000 to the New Jersey Working Families Party. They gave $15,000 to Working Families Organization, which is the Working Families Party, $15,000, and Working Families Party Inc., $15,000. So $45,000 to different parts of the Working Families Party. Well, that's $45,000 is not a tiny little chunk. It's not a tiny chunk of change for a progressive think tank, Demos, that is based on donations. Like, think tanks, in large part, are investors, but also donations. And I spoke with someone, a source, who's familiar with Demos, and said, they don't have like this massive budget. So them giving $45,000 of $45,000, let me find it. Oh, I gotta go back to my thread. Hold on. Here we go. Them giving $45,000 of their total $229,523 in grants they issued. $45,000 of that was to the Working Families Party. That's 20% of their grants to the Working Families Party. Mind you, they did not give anything to the Working Families Party before 2017 to 2018. Well, my source said this is like charities who are depend on people giving them money. It's like charities donating to other charities. It's kind of like, yes, it happens, but it's a bit of an oddity, right? So, I don't know, call me cynical. Elizabeth Warren's daughter is, as far as we know, it says in her profile here, is chairman of Demos, a prominent progressive think tank. So, in her LinkedIn, it says that she has been chairperson of Demos from 2010 to current. In fairness, sometimes people don't update their LinkedIn if they leave, but I mean, this is a high-profile individual. I would think she would update her LinkedIn if she was no longer with Demos. So it says currently on her personal LinkedIn that she's still the chairperson of Demos. And that would be also a high position on the board of Demos. So here you have Elizabeth Warren's adult daughter, chairperson of Demos, giving $45,000 to the Working Families Party in the calendar year 2017 to 2018. And then the Working Families Party in 2019 endorsing Elizabeth Warren. Again, 20% of the total grants that Demos gave out was to the Working Families Party, who they did not give money to in the prior fiscal year. When we also looked in the Wayback Machine. When I say we, I should say Jen. Jen looked in the Wayback Machine because currently, again, I'm not trying to make a scandal here, but conspicuously, you go to Demos' website now. Amelia Warren Tyagi is not on the board. Is not on the board of Demos. She's not even listed on the website. Well, how is she in her bio? She's the chairperson of Demos. On her LinkedIn, she's still the chairperson of Demos. And on the Wayback Machine, the last time we found her on the website, Demos, was May. Now, the way Jen explained it to me, the way Wayback Machine works, she could have been taken off the website at a later date than May. It's not necessarily that May 2nd was the day that they wiped her or the last day she was on the website. They could have taken her off weeks after that, but this is just what shows up in the Wayback Machine. So, again, I want to be fair to Elizabeth Warren, and I want to be fair to Working Families Party and Demos, but frankly, when you have a political endorsement and you're weighing between two candidates and there's a financial relationship, it's not like Amelia Warren Tyagi is, and excuse me, remember, we got almost 400 people watching, only 232 of you have pressed the like button. So we need another 150 of you. Smash the thumbs up button. It's right under the video. The more people that press the thumbs up button, the more people that will see our live stream. Super, super important. And another reminder, folks, we really, really, really would love to get to that $75,000 mark in our GoFundMe while we're live. If you want real, aggressive campaign reporting in the field, I'm not talking about from home in our garage. I'm talking about us getting back in the field on the campaign trail. Pitch in if you can, $5, $10, $20, whatever you can. We want to hit $75,000 today, and if we hit that, then we only got another $10,000 to raise to hit our ultimate goal. Keep it coming if you can. So, call me old-fashioned. Oh wait, no, there's another. I'm not finished. There's another connection. It's not just Amelia, who is chairperson of Demos, as far as we know. Elizabeth Warren's campaign treasurer, Paul Eagerman, is on the board, currently, of Demos. Again, this is their website currently. He's on the board. The same Paul Eagerman that, frankly, has been described in some quarters. Elizabeth Warren decries big money in politics. Her campaign treasurer embodies it. And this is with publicintegrity.org. Blah, 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 blah. But Warren has also selected for her presidential campaign treasurer a man whose contributions run counter to Warren's statements, among the most emphatic among the more than 20 Democrats running for president against big money in politics. Dubbed a personal Pac-Man to politicians by the Boston Globe more than a decade ago, retired software engineer Paul Eagerman has quietly established himself as a key benefactor and rainmaker for Democratic political committees and liberal causes. Okay, so Elizabeth Warren's daughter is chairperson of Demos, the progressive think tank, which again, I think they do great work. They give $45,000 to the Working Families Party. The Working Families Party turns around and endorses Elizabeth Warren. They won't, and while endorsing Elizabeth Warren, they won't release their actual membership total. So it's very possible, and frankly likely, that their actual membership, the rank and file of the Working Families Party, actually endorsed Bernie Sanders. So something doesn't smell right here, particularly with the fact that I have sources familiar with the Working Families Party. I don't want to say more because I don't want it to be known who they are, who basically says Working Families Party is broke. So, this donation or this grant from Demos potentially could be a signal, could be looked at as a signal. You back the horse we want you to back. There's more where that came from. This is what I was told by a source, frankly, very familiar with how the Working Families Party works and their current financial situation. So, why was this not disclosed at the time the Working Families Party endorsed Elizabeth Warren? I mean, Elizabeth Warren's daughter is the chairperson of a major think tank that gave $45,000 in the last fiscal year to the Working Families Party. And secondly, I would argue, did Elizabeth Warren's campaign, or did Elizabeth Warren have any communication with Demos about where they should give or what parties they should issue grants? Why is Elizabeth Warren's daughter still the chairperson of Demos? If she is, why is it not listed on their website? And when did they take it off their website? Because as of May, the Wayback Machine tells us she was listed as the chairperson of Demos. Thirdly, not to blow up anybody's spot here, we do something behind the scenes. It's good to know when you're a journalist if the people you're reaching out to have read your email, right? So we have a little tracker to see if somebody opened our email. It's not, it's a service. I think you pay $5 to $10 a month, and you could track if people have read your email, how many times. Well, thank you. Jen and I have been following this. Like, it's insane. I don't know what the count is now, but before I went live, and we've whited out the person's name, so they don't get crazy spam. But the person that we've emailed at Working Families Party, the same questions that I'm saying should be asked, this email has been opened 212 times since last night. Our questions to the Working Families Party. I'm assuming it hasn't been opened 212 times by this one individual we sent to the Working Families Party. I'm assuming that this has been forwarded within the Working Families Party and potentially to people at Demos, potentially to people at the Warren's campaign, a whole lot of times. 212 times this email being opened in less than 24 hours, frankly, in less than 12 hours, right, Jen? It's a lot of times to open an email. My guess is this email that we have sent is passing around hot and heavy between the Working Families Party, people in the Working Families Party, maybe to Warren's campaign, Warren's press office, a little less. They've opened it 20 times because we also reached out to Warren's campaign. What is going on here, folks? Something don't smell right. And again, if you came late to the live stream, to me, this isn't about Demos. Demos, I think, does great work. And to me, it's also not even that big a deal if the Working Families Party, in a legitimate process, if it was a legitimate process, endorsed Elizabeth Warren over Bernie Sanders. You could say, we agree to disagree and move on. The Working Families Party endorsement is not going to dictate who becomes the nominee, okay? But something doesn't smell right here, because if this was not Elizabeth Warren, right? If this was, let's say this was Joe Biden, okay? And Joe Biden's adult son, who there's questions around his adult son, and his business relationships with Ukraine, which we'll get to another day. If Joe Biden's adult son was the chairperson of anything, and that adult son, they gave grant money to, the Working Families Party, and the Working Families Party then turned around and endorsed Joe Biden, not only would Bernie Sanders supporters be up in ears, I am assuming Elizabeth Warren supporters, the progressive ones at least, would be up at ears. This kind of looks like a kickback. This kind of looks like, oh, we scratched your back, giving you that grant money. You scratch our back with your endorsement. And your endorsement comes with your email list, your organizing network, all that business. So, again, all we could do is ask the all we could do is present the evidence. All we could do is ask the questions. The Working Families Party has opened our email. It might be more now, 212 times. Warren campaign has opened our email 20 times. What are they going to say? They're not going to be like, yes, you caught us. It was pay for play. But if Elizabeth Warren is running on this anti-corruption crusader thing, and her adult daughter, who, by the way, I don't think Elizabeth Warren should bear the burden, or she shouldn't be attacked for what her daughter does, in my opinion. But her daughter also is a bigwig at a private health insurance company. So she's at a private health insurance company. She's the chairperson of Demos. She's an adult, and she has some high-profile positions. And if she's the chairperson of this think tank, I would assume she has a pretty big say on who they're issuing grant money to. And I would assume around 2017, 2018, that fiscal year, Elizabeth Warren was already kind of planning or plotting her campaign run, because she ran for re-election in Massachusetts and announced her run for president literally a month after she was re-elected in Massachusetts. So it's not like Elizabeth Warren's daughter is some low-level, janitor or secretary. She's the chairperson. And we'd love to hear back from Demos. Is she still the chairperson? If she's not, when was she last chairperson? If she is, why is it no longer listed on your website? Very odd, very odd, very odd. Also, there is a relationship, a long relationship between Demos and Elizabeth Warren. This is from an article in 2014. Should Warren win, she will likely have her own infrastructure in place with Demos, the research and advocacy group whose slogan is, quote, an equal say and an equal chance for all. Notice the similarity of the title of Warren's book. Of course, the left's vision of equal opportunity is usually based on some absurd equality of outcome scheme, which is part of the core policy positions of Demos, to spend more, tax more, redistribute more, restrict political speech more. Obviously, this is a right-wing writer or whatever. But the point is, before she was a senator, Demos honored Warren at its 10th anniversary gala in 2010 with its Transforming America Award because Warren was the architect of the Dodd-Frank financial reform legislation. Well, call me cynical Susie. They gave her an award in 2010. When did Elizabeth Warren's daughter start at Demos as the chairperson? 2010. Again, I actually liked Elizabeth Warren a lot more in 2010 and 2012 when she was entering political life and then ran for senator. She was a liberal firebrand then. So, you know, I'm not saying, oh, her daughter was a chairperson, that's why they gave her the award. I'm just saying they gave her the award in 2010. That's when her daughter started. Relevant facts. So, what makes all of this even more fishy to me, if this isn't enough, like, evidence for you, and thank you for the super chats. Yes, this is a super chat. Xavier Foster, $5 in the super chat. Hunter Biden worked with John Kerry's son and Whitey Bulger's nephew on these deals and organizations. Nothing to see here. Hey, I've been working on something behind the scenes on another story, but we're going to look into that. I don't, you know, I think it's wrong that Trump was trying to basically dictate that the Ukrainians look into Biden. That two wrongs don't make a right, but that doesn't mean there's not anything to look at. The media is covering for Joe Biden like they usually do, but I do smell something very, very rotten coming out of Joe Biden in Ukraine. We're not done with that. Let me see if I missed any others. Golden, Gorm the Elder, 100 DKK. Wall Street loves Warren, voted for the bankruptcy bill, which makes defaulting on debt harder, thus making subprime-based CDOs much less likely to fail, which is great for big banks. Warren wasn't in the Senate during the bankruptcy bill, so that's not true. But thank you for the super chat. So, oh wow, we just got another big donation in GoFundMe before I move on. Thank you, Anonymous. $100. I can promise you that that Anonymous is not the Working Families Party. Sorry, had to do that. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. $15. Thank you, Veronica. $10. Devora, $20. We are now just, if I could do my math correctly, $295 away. $295 away from reaching $75,000 in our GoFundMe. Oh, I would love if we could do it during this live stream. And yes, I will be live again at my normal time, 5 o'clock Eastern today. Keep it coming in the GoFundMe if you can. So, if all of this doesn't smell kind of rotten to you, if all of this doesn't smell a little rotten to you, to me, what puts this over the edge, okay, Demos gives money, Demos, who has Warren's daughter as the chairperson, gives money to Elizabeth Warren, to Working Families Party, okay. Working Families Party turns around, endorses Elizabeth Warren. Unlike 2016, the Working Families Party, who was transparent about the actual membership breakdown, how did your members vote, not your board, your members. Suddenly now, they won't disclose that with some cockamamie reason about the integrity of the processes, and frankly, it's nonsense. If you did it in 2016, why would you not do it now? Leaves one to believe maybe that membership total doesn't match how your board voted. And the board, or your leaders, the 50, because Working Families Party endorsement works this way, the 50 or so people on the board, their vote weighs 50%. The actual members are the other 50%. So about 50 people have the same exact weighted percentage and influence on the endorsement as tens of thousands of people in the party. So if that doesn't sound suspect enough, I found it very odd that the Working Families Party, after this endorsement of Elizabeth Warren, you started seeing like kind of Hillary Clinton campaign, David Brock-esque stuff coming out of the Working Families Party. Crying Bernie Sanders campaign is sending, or Bernie Sanders people are harassing us online. Now, folks, I don't condone harassment. Of course, status quo does not. But whenever you hear this harassment is coming from Bernie Sanders supporters, conspicuously absent is visual evidence of any harassment. It's just something that Hillary Clinton's campaign and a lot of their high-level black supporters would say. We get harassment from Bernie Sanders supporters. Of course, I'm sure that there are isolated bad apples of supporters, not just in Bernie Sanders' supporter base, but every supporter base that send tweets that go over the line. But we've constantly seen this kind of coordinated messaging that these Bernie bros are sending harassing things. And you would think if the Working Families Party, because in their endorsement, they also sung praise of Bernie Sanders, if this was happening, you would think instead of going public with it, they would privately go to the Bernie. That's what I thought. Why would they? It's almost like they're working against the Bernie Sanders campaign by putting this out there, because they knew the media will pick up anything against Bernie Sanders' campaign, and they will make anything that might be a molehill into a mountain. So not only did they go public with it, they wrote a letter. Quote, a letter from our movement to our movement. And this was the letter written by the Working Families Party. More than 100 black leaders from across the country signed an open letter to our movement today, decrying racist and sexist attacks on Maurice Mitchell and Melanie Stamp of the Working Families Party. The Working Families Party this week issued an early endorsement of the Elizabeth Warren campaign. Several self-identified supporters of the Bernie Sanders campaign publicly attacked these two black leaders using racialized and gendered language to denigrate them, their decision, and their organization. Listen, I might get in trouble for saying this, but I don't really care. I keep it real. A lot of this seems to be a lot of bullshit to me. Ooh, demonetized. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I'm not saying that a black person at the top of the Working Families Party. I think I forget his Maurice. Excuse me. I'm not saying he doesn't get some tweets that he deems as offensive, and that might be offensive. But to take the step of a letter and getting the signatures of 100 black leaders, you're not, that is literally, you are acting as a political arm of the Elizabeth Warren campaign to knock down Bernie Sanders. That's just politics 101. Whether it's true or not, whether you really are getting harassment. So to me, it almost seemed like, boy, the Working Families Party, they're like working for Warren. They didn't just endorse her and like think she's the best candidate. They're really working for this candidate here. And then, interestingly enough, if you want to bring it full circle, when you click on those 100 signatures, all those black leaders that signed on to this letter from the Working Families Party, basically decrying these evil Bernie bros, Demos Action signed the letter. The Demos signed this letter decrying these evil Bernie bros, the same organization that Elizabeth Warren's daughter, as far as I know, is still the chairperson of. Sorry, folks. I don't know what else to say. It seems that, to me, unless we get a different response from the Working Families Party, who we've reached out to twice now, if we get a different response from Demos, who we've reached out to, Elizabeth Warren's campaign that we've reached out to me, this seems like a quid pro quo. We gave you $45,000 in grants money. When I say we, Elizabeth Warren's daughter's think tank, and then you turn around and endorse us, and wink wink, there's more where that came from. And by the way, if you want to, on top of endorsing us, if you want to kind of, do a little political operations, a little correct the record-esque stuff, a little David Brock, kind of good old-fashioned mudslinging, distortions, dishonestness, write a letter to the movement to basically get CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post to then continue with this nonsense. Bernie Sanders supporters are harassing people. And again, I can't monitor all of Twitter. I'm sure there were some comments that went over the line. But if the Working Families Party is legitimately just endorsing Elizabeth Warren, but not then, doing serving as her political arm, you would have then went to the Bernie Sanders campaign about it. without going public with a letter signed by 100 people. That is, I'm sorry, you're working for Elizabeth Warren's campaign, and it seems that there's financial connections involved. That's the reason that you're doing that. Oh, by the way, I have multiple sources telling me the Working Families Party is broke. Oh, by the way, the Working Families Party has opened our one email 212 times, which that was when I went live. Who the hell knows how many times it's been opened now? Which indicates to me they've been forwarding this email all over the place because they might think they have a problem. That's how these things work. When there's something that doesn't smell right, and journalist or somebody with an eye comes to you and says, hey, this thing inside your house doesn't smell right, what's up with that? Oh, the emails start flying, the panic phone calls start flying. And frankly, I don't expect the corporate media. I don't think the corporate media is going to cover this. Frankly, I'd be truly stunned if even, air quotes, progressive media cover this, aside from few. Like, I'm sure Jimmy might cover it, maybe Humanist Report, Kyle with Secular Talk. I don't expect my old stomping grounds to cover this because, frankly, they've been pretty generous to Elizabeth Warren. And to be fair, I don't have evidence that Elizabeth Warren was directing these things. Obviously, no one could prove that. But I do know that her daughter was the chairperson of Demos. They gave a good chunk of change for Demos, a think tank that relies on donations. 20% of their grants go to the Working Families Party? Are you kidding? When they didn't give the Working Families Party a dime the year before? That don't smell right. That does not smell right. And why this is important, and again, thank you, 15, who is that? $10 from Arthur. We are now $275 away. $285 away from hitting that $75,000 in the GoFundMe. Keep it coming if you can. Why this is important to me, is not that Elizabeth, the Working Families Party endorsement is going to make or break who becomes the Democratic nominee. It's not. To me, it's not that relevant. Why it's important is not to knock Demos. It's a good organization. But Elizabeth Warren is running a campaign going after, on a crusade against corruption. A lot of you don't agree with me. I don't think she's as bad as Joe Biden. I really don't. I don't think she's as bad as Kamala Harris. I certainly don't think she's Hillary Clinton. You might not like to hear that, but that's what I think. But corruption is corruption. Quid pro quo is quid pro quo. Kickbacks are kickbacks. So you need to answer, and the Warren campaign needs to answer, and the Working Families Party needs to answer. Why was this not disclosed? Can you imagine for 1 second if Levi Sanders was the chairperson of a lemonade stand, right? And that lemonade stand gave money to the Working Families Party, and the Working Families Party then endorsed Bernie Sanders? Oh my God, they'd be crying corruption from the rooftops. So, I think the Working Families Party has some questions to answer. I'd like to know if Elizabeth Warren's campaign, did Warren ever communicate with her daughter about who Demos should be giving money to? I'd like to know if when the grants were issued from Demos to the Working Families Party, if there was any mention of the upcoming 2020 election, endorsements, working together. I'd like to know, it seems to me that there's a little coordination between here. There's too many coincidences. You get the money from the Working Families Party, gets the money from Demos. Working Families Party then endorses Elizabeth Warren. Then all of a sudden, Working Families Party is putting out basically political mudslinging and, political operative PR spin that the Bernie Sanders campaign is harassing the Working Families Party, signed by Demos. I'm sorry, there's too many coincidences here. Too many coincidences. So, I'm sure, this is why status quo exists, because frankly, there are a lot of outlets out there claiming to be progressive that do not touch this stuff because they themselves do not want to lose access to the candidates. We don't rely on access. If I get an interview with Elizabeth Warren, great. If I don't, we'll live. And also, it would upset the sensibilities of certain entities that fund these networks. Fortunately, we're not funded by any of these big Democratic Party donors or Republican Party donors or plutocrats, and we don't want their money. We are growing the old-fashioned way. For those of you that don't know, we are now at 718 Status Coup members. Our goal is to get to 1,000 by the end of this year. Our members get bonus videos, bonus content, and for members, currently members, this Thursday you will join our monthly video call where you talk to Jen and I. Questions, comments, concerns. We have a good time. I probably say way more than I should. So that's coming up on Thursday. So if you want to get the link to our video call on Monday and join us through Zoom, become a member before Thursday. Statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. We are only going to grow through our viewers because we don't want to grow through advertisers. We don't want to grow through big plutocrats donating to us because then you're indebted to them. And I don't want to be indebted to anyone but you. So, yeah, I think this is a problem. I really do. I think the Working Families Party, if they truly want it to be known that Elizabeth Warren, her daughter being at Demos, had nothing, and that donation, that grant that they got had nothing to do with the endorsement, then you know what they should do? Today, they should release the total, the voting tally from their membership. If their membership voted for Elizabeth Warren over Bernie Sanders, why not show that? If it matches what your board voted for, your board presumably voted for Elizabeth Warren. If the membership did too, wouldn't that make your endorsement of Elizabeth Warren stand up and be more legitimate? What are you hiding? Why are you hiding this? You did not hide this. You did not hide this in 2016. You made it public what the actual voting tally was from your membership. And again, why this is important isn't because the Working Families Party matters so much. Why this is important is because Elizabeth Warren keeps running and keeps saying she is running against the systemic corruption in Washington. Well, a big part of that systemic corruption in Washington is exactly what we're reporting on today, where think tank or nonprofit A donates to B, and then the circle of political corruption life comes back where they all work together. And so you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. If that's what she's running against, well, we need to know what's this about. Let me read some super chats that I might have missed. Thank you, Mr. Methaluza. Mr. Methasula. Excellent work. Please also cover Warren's daughter's connection to insurance company United Healthcare. You know, I have gotten messages about that. You might disagree with me, Mr. Methasula. I have a problem going after candidates for their adult children's professions unless I feel there's a strong connection to the candidate. So if Elizabeth Warren was like, we can't have Medicare for all, and then you're like, oh, her daughter is a bigwig at United Healthcare, oh, I would certainly report on that. But she's claiming to be for Medicare for all, so like theoretically, that would go against her own daughter. But I think her being so wishy-washy on Medicare, maybe she's being very wishy-washy on Medicare for all, in part because of her daughter. But I don't want to go so into what her daughter does for a living, because what Elizabeth Warren is claiming is Medicare for all. But thank you for the super chat. What else do we got here? Valeria, $5. Will Status Coup release this information in an article? I will. We will. I'm going to write it up today, hopefully. So yes, it will be in an article today. What else do we got? Henry Lungu, $2 in the super chat. When Warren starts with, well, so she's about to lie. Okay, thank you for the super chat. I'll have to watch that from now on. Mark Garrett, $9.99 in the super chat. Oh, I lost you. The reason I got hooked on TYT and the reason I don't. All right, you kind of kept me hanging. The reason I got hooked on TYT and the reason I don't. ... Well, thank you if you're saying I'm the reason you got hooked. Lizzie, $10. The media, including NPR and WAPO, did cry corruption over the mere existence of the Sanders Institute, which shut down before the campaign even started. Very good point. That is a great point. I'm not sure, and they did shut down before the campaign started. You guys have such great points. Yes, exactly. They cry corruption if it's involved with Bernie Sanders. Let me tell you something, and I don't say this humorously, I really mean it. If Bernie Sanders' son, Levi, owned a lemonade stand, and that lemonade stand gave to the Working Families Party, and the Working Families Party endorsed Bernie Sanders, they would be crying from the rooftops, not only that Bernie Sanders needs to drop out, he should resign as senator. He's corrupt. He's a fraud. I've already listed too many coincidences and financial connections. Warren's daughter, chairperson. Warren's campaign treasurer of her campaign, currently on the board of Demos. Working Families Party basically working behind the scenes after they endorsed Warren to slime Bernie Sanders. Demos signing the letter that they slimed Bernie Sanders with. The Sanders supporters are harassing black leaders in the Working Families Party. Working Families Party, literally, Working Families Party, literally, from what I hear, is broke. Too many coincidences. Working Families Party should answer. And by the way, they're not going to answer if this doesn't get more attention. If there's no pressure on the Working Families Party to answer for some of this and to release their membership total, they will silently go into the night. So it's really on you, the viewers. It's on other progressive independent media to pick up this story, because they should have to answer for it. And frankly, they should be, if they maintain that they will not release the membership total and how their membership voted, then frankly, I bet my last bottom dollar that the membership of the Working Families Party endorsed Bernie Sanders over Elizabeth Warren. And the board voted for Elizabeth Warren because Demos, ran by Elizabeth Warren's daughter, greased its wheels with a big grant in 2017 to 2018. And by the way, $45,000 to the Working Families Party, that's not a massive amount. I mean, when you're getting into six figures, that's bigger for the Working Families Party. But sometimes in politics, there's something known as a signal. You know? Hey, here's our deposit. Here's our proof of investment. There's more to come if you ride the horse we want you to ride. That's how politics works, unfortunately. And Elizabeth Warren is running that she's something different from that. Well, there's other things where aren't consistent with Elizabeth Warren. She's headlining a massive DNC fundraiser, standing with Nancy Pelosi, coming up. She says, I'm against corruption. I'm not taking big banks money, fossil fuel money, big pharma money, real estate money, Silicon Valley money, big dirty plutocrat money in the primary. General election? Check, please. Oh, give me those checks. You can't be a calendar-based progressive. You're either a progressive or you're progressive in, certain seasons, right? She checked Twitter and shared Jordan's Twitter thread. Yes. So we'll see. We'll keep monitoring how many times Working Families Party has opened our email. They haven't responded yet. And frankly, this is a legitimate story. I'm mad at myself that I didn't find this earlier. But, we're covering a lot of things, and sometimes you miss things. So credit to Samuel, who spotted it first. So we will write the story today. I'll write it as quickly as I can, get it out there. Thank you. We got another big donation in GoFundMe. We are now just $185 away, $185 away from hitting $75,000. Can we do it before I sign off? I think we can. And apparently I missed a super chat. Copernic Thinker. You missed my earlier super chat asking if you believe Pelosi's meeting today will decide to investigate Trump for impeachment regarding Ukraine. Real quick, I'm going to talk about this later in my normal live stream, so I don't want to go too long on it. I think the Democrats are going to start an impeachment investigation or inquiry on Trump over Ukraine. I really do. Yes, I think so. Is that smart? No, it's suicidal, but it's a Democratic Party, so why not? Why not commit political suicide heading into a very important election? But yes, I do think that they're going to do impeachment. Yes. So let me answer a couple more questions about this story. Questions, comments, concerns in the GoFundMe. Do you think I'm being unfair? I'm willing to listen. Again, we want to be fair. So if there's information that the Working Families Party has, that Demos has, that the Elizabeth Warren's campaign has, that they could provide to us to show that there's nothing to see here, that this was a legitimate endorsement, I would be happy to come on and say, hey, we got information we didn't have before, and this doesn't smell as fishy as it did before. But it's on them. We're the journalists. We've reached out. We've been fair. We reached out to them last night. We reached out to them this morning. Haven't heard back yet. Thank you, Stephen Lindsay Satterfield, $10 in the GoFundMe super chat. Xavier Foster, $2 in the super chat. So Warren basically backstabbed Bernie. Makes sense. Kind of. So thanks, Status Coup. You did great on relaying the question. Well done. Thank Jen. She text message. With more viewers, the live stream goes quicker. So the super chats also go quicker, so sometimes I miss them. But thank you for the question. So, to me, honestly, I am calling, Status Quo is officially calling, for the Working Families Party to release their membership vote tally, just like they did in 2016. This whole nonsense about integrity of the process, yeah, well, frankly, I'm calling out your integrity right now live on the internet with 600 people watching, because you should have disclosed this as the Working Families Party, that Elizabeth Warren's daughter was the chairperson of a big think tank and gave you $45,000 in the last fiscal year. That's an important transparency disclosure that you did not disclose. I find it extremely fishy that in Elizabeth Warren's daughter's bio and LinkedIn profile, she's still the chairperson of Demos, but she's not on your website. That's fishy. Particularly if she was removed from your website around close enough to the time you endorsed her daughter. I'm not knocking Elizabeth Warren's daughter. She's the chairperson of Demos. I like Demos as an organization. They do good work. They are progressive. So, but financial connections are financial connections. She was the chairperson. She does have a large say in who Demos is giving money to, and frankly, we're going to have to now look into who else did Demos give money to that is endorsing Elizabeth Warren. It's public. All you got to go is look through their tax filings. Who else did Demos, ran by Elizabeth Warren, give money to? Has United Healthcare, which Elizabeth Warren's daughter is a bigwig at, have they given money to Elizabeth Warren's campaign? These are all very important. They're all very important information that we need to know. Whoa! Whoa! We just passed $75,000 in the GoFundMe, you guys. Oh my Lord! Man, I'm just a little Jewish kid from Long Island, and we've raised $75,000 in a year. And by the way, as I always say, and thank you to Anonymous, $100 in the GoFundMe. Thank you to Alberto, $10, and big ups to Mitch Osborne, $285 in the GoFundMe. Thank you so much, guys. It's unbelievable to me, the level of support. Almost 1,000 total donors in our GoFundMe. And I just want to reiterate, which I think is important because it shows our strength. It says that this GoFundMe was started a year ago, September 12th. That is true. So technically, we have raised $75,110 in a year. It's really 9 months we've raised this money. If you remember, if you're an original Status Quoer, we were shut down from live streaming on YouTube for 3 months because CNN got us shut down on YouTube. I don't want to get into it. You know what happened. I digress. CNN filed a copyright on us. It was total bullshit, but we got shut down for 3 months. In that 3 months, we didn't mention GoFundMe once because it's very hard to push a GoFundMe if you can't be live. So for 3 months, we were not raising any money on GoFundMe. So it's really $75,000 raised in 9 months. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Now, I'm not going to play it because we'd get a copyright. It's the final countdown. It's the final countdown. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Hope you love my chorus at noon Eastern. We now have less than $10,000 to go. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to do it. And this is the money we need. we do have one more piece of equipment we need that costs actually $10,000. It's for those of you tech nerds. We're looking to purchase the LiveView 300, which is a mobile satellite. The one we have right now, LiveView Solo, frankly, is the cheapest one. There's many different LiveViews. Right now we have the LiveView Solo, which doesn't really have enough bandwidth. So when we go cover rallies, or when we were covering the climate strike the other day, we can't go live. We just don't have the signal strength. Or we can go live, but it stops and starts, it stops and starts. So the LiveView 300 is second to the best. The best one is like $23,000. We don't have the cash for that. But the LiveView 300 will allow us to go live in remote areas, think like Standing Rock type places. It will allow us to go live at rallies, and it will allow us to have a much stronger signal. So that's going to cost us about $10,000. So that's part of why we've been trying to raise more money. So getting that, still, once we get that, we still want to have enough money to travel in the field consistently too. So hopefully we're going to keep pushing this and pushing this. Thank you for donating, and thank you for watching. I am going to work on writing. Jordan's starting a new channel as a cover artist. Hey, it's my day off and Status Coup is live. Hope you had a good day off. And we are also working on another investigative story behind the scenes on Flint. So we haven't forgotten about Flint. We're working on that too. So we're working on a lot of things behind the scenes. And we have hired a new camera person, so we'll be introducing you to that new camera person later this week. I will be working on the written story for this to try to get this out as soon as possible. Hopefully the Working Families Party, hopefully Elizabeth Warren's campaign, hopefully Demos responds to us by the time we publish the piece. Thank you for watching. I will be back live, as usual, at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. And let's keep this GoFundMe going. Need a very wealthy, real progressive out there to donate that $10,000. Hey, just me. From your lips to if there's a God's ears. Listen, we are willing to take big money from an actual progressive. When I say an actual progressive, I'm saying somebody who clearly understands they're not dictating how we cover things, what we cover. B, I don't want $10,000 from the bigwig Democratic Party donors that give Obama money, Hillary money, the DNC money. No. But if you're an actual progressive out there, it doesn't need to be $10,000. But if you want to donate a larger amount, we certainly would love to know what you are interested in having covered. But you got to know you're not going to be running the show here. And by the way, we have gotten support in the past. One person in particular, who's a viewer, helped us buy some equipment in the beginning of Status Coup, and he's been great. We talk sometimes, but I mean, he doesn't tell us you need to cover this, blah 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 blah, because we would never have it. So if there are wealthier progressives out there that are interested in donating or possibly more, info@statuscoup.com. That's info@statuscoup.com. Thank you for the support. I'll be back a little bit later, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Remember, most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no earthly idea what the fuck is going on. Peace out.